a grump who's given up on life following the loss of his wife, and he wants to end it all. Because we're talking movies, we're talking A Man Called Otto, starring Tom Hanks, Marina Trevino, and Truman Hanks. Written by David McGee, which is based on the book A Man Called Ove, but in Swedish. Written by Frederick Backman, and the film by the same name, written by Hans Holm, directed by Mark Foster. I'm sorry I didn't get here earlier. I got distracted by some new neighbors. Nitwit husband didn't know an Allen wrench from one of the chipmunks.
It was totally the clown's fault. Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of How'd You Like That Movie? As Scott said, we're talking A Man Called Otto, but not the Otto that likes to get blotto. Scott, take us away.
My name is Otto. I love to get blotto.
What reference is that from?
It's from The Simpsons, man. My name is Otto. I like to get blotto. And so now anytime I hear the word Otto or name Otto, I cannot. It's like I have to say that line from The Simpsons. OG Simpsons, too, when they were still good.
Well, they're still good. Like, have you watched them? Oh, fuck it. This isn't about the Simpsons.
This is not a Simpsons podcast. That's our other one, Scott on Simpsons.
Following Scott's cock.
Yes, and our poo pod.
Okay, so with this film, I haven't watched the original film that this was based on.
But you did read the novel in Swedish, correct?
No, I didn't. I didn't even want to pronounce it because I'm like, I'm just gonna fuck it up. But I'm like, I guess this is the translation. Have you watched the original or no?
No, but I'm definitely going to, after watching this film, I do want to check it out. I want to see kind of what changes they made. I mean, what does the Swedish Tom Hanks look like? Is he like the Swedish chef? Like, ooh, boo, 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 boo.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Swedish berries. They taste delicious, so sure.
Okay. Yeah, in terms of this one, I think this is like a fine movie. It's a good balance of comedy and drama, and they do complement each other pretty well. Like, one doesn't pull more than the other. But there were two things that really pulled me out of this movie.
Pulled you out? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
like just took me out of it. One is a techno choice, which was throughout this film, it's an orchestrated score, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just out of nowhere, during the two most dramatic scenes in the film, one is Rita Wilson fucking singing a song that just like super loud, just like completely took me out, because I'm like, I don't know if this song.
Yeah, why does
fits.
that name sound familiar?
All right, and that's the thing. Like, after the film, looking
no.
up, I'm like, I got it. I know, I get it. I'm like, listen, somebody's trying to get an original song nod for his wife for the Oscars, like that. It's probably like, this is what I'm gonna get you for our anniversary, right? Like, I'm getting you an Oscar.
Don't worry, I'll meet you there. I promise. Don't forget, you're my #1 customer. Liz, look, I didn't mean that.
So, like, I get it, and fuck it. Like, he should have done it. He should have just went to the Oscars like, listen, it's my anniversary present. And they'll be like, fuck it, it's Tom Hanks. We're going to do
Tom Hanks, here we go. And the Oscar for Best Wife goes to...
Boom, Rita Wilson.
Okay, so didn't love that. Okay, what else?
Didn't love that. The other one was the introduction of the trans character, Malcolm.
Okay.
Which it seemed like it was shoehorned in, because story-wise, in terms of the dialogue that was being said before, the like full introduction of this character, nothing that was said really adds up to what was said after the fact. And that too, I'm just like, are they really just shoehorning this in to just shoehorn this in? Because I think a lot more could have been done with it, and it really could have just been done better.
Such as?
Well, okay, so one, you meet Malcolm at the beginning because, you know, when Tom Hanks's character is doing his daily rounds, he leaves his bike out, not in the bike rack. And then Malcolm comes and, grabs his bike and they have like a 2-minute interaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you meet him again, probably an hour later is when he shows up, when he's on his bike and he's throwing the newspapers that Tom Hanks hates.
Yep.
And that's when they have the whole interaction in which he knew Tom Hanks's wife, who passed 6 months prior, and that, he transitioned to a male, and that she was the first one to accept him, to call him by his name.
She was the first to call me by my new name.
Everything like that, right? And even says he knew Otto because Otto used to come visit the school.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's actually in the film. So far, I haven't seen any of your notes. So
all right. No, that's what I'm saying. This is the stuff that doesn't add up. And then, so in terms of the film, if you haven't watched the spoilers, every section of the film is Otto trying to kill himself because he wants to get back to his wife. He doesn't know how to live without his wife. And then he gets to the part where he's watched Showtime's Dexter, so he's setting up the kill room. Good. And then he
listen, on that subject, like, he has, in all his attempts that could be messy, he's very diligent about making sure he's not going to make a mess of the fucking place. So you got to give the guy props for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's watched Dexter. He's like, okay, I need to get the plastic. I need to put the newspaper on the ground, right? Collect the blood spatter. So that attempt fucks up when he was going to blow his brains out. And then Malcolm comes to the door. Now Malcolm's dad is kicking him out and he needs a place to stay. And the only person he knows that would, he let him stay on the couch is this old man he had a 10-minute interaction with. And Otto goes to him like, why is your dad kicking you out? Is it because you're trans? And he was like, yeah. He was like, because I transitioned, because I'm Malcolm. But I'm like, if it's been over 6 to 8 months that he's transitioned, why now?
Yeah. You actually just did a better job of like lining all that stuff up, because there was something about that. It really hit me when he was at the door and that conversation that you're talking about happened. I was like, but this isn't new. He didn't just transition. Like, this isn't like he didn't just go home and have this happen. And listen, maybe this is a delayed effect. I don't know what it's like to have those kind of conversations with your parents, but I agree with you. They could have did that whole interaction better. And so it doesn't feel like a token character. Like, oh, boom, like develop a little bit better. But I don't know how you do that, because really not a ton of time is passing for the most part. Like, I mean, at the end, I think you're probably like a year later, or maybe a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
But during the course of the film, like, really, you're kind of within, months are passing. So I don't know how you do that character better, or not the character better, but the interaction better. Unless, like, I guess one of the ways you could do it is when Tom Hanks first interacts with him, and he's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, you look very familiar. And it's like, use the character's dead name, like the when they were a woman, and being like, since then, blah, 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 your wife was really good to me. Like, that could have created like, oh, I knew you before, but this is the first time I'm really seeing you again as the person you are now, or some version of that, you know what I mean?
And even like technically they could have kept the scenes all the same, right? But just change some of the words, because in reality, like, it could have just been Malcolm had a shitty fucking dad.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
Right. But just to throw that in there, be like, oh yeah, they still don't accept you, kind of thing, right? He could have just had a shitty dad. And also, in the end, the character of Malcolm becomes written off too. Because you see him, then it looks like he moves in with Otto, because he's then following him every morning doing the
rounds,
doing his rounds,
which made me have a very, since it's Tom Hanks, a very Forrest Gump vibe, you know what I mean? Because the other guy is also following him around, and I'm like, oh, you just need a couple more people and it can be like Run, Otto, run.
Yeah, but as well, like, and then you find out he has 3 jobs, right? Because all he wants to do is buy a car.
A Volkswagen specifically.
Yeah, and then but Otto gives him his car, right? And then goes buys a brand new pickup truck that's gonna be for their Mexican neighbors that you find out for.
Which
But then
and I love the product placement, right? Like he specifically writes in the letter, and you are the only one to drive the Chevy. Like,
but you're the only one I trust. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? So but after Malcolm gets that car, he's not there anymore,
yeah, fair enough.
right? And also it looked like they really needed an extra too, unless Malcolm had a 4th job as the social media manager's camera person.
Oh, that's right. Why wouldn't she have a camera person?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm like, man, I'm like they could have got an extra for free just for a credit to hold the fucking camera, right? Instead of like, fuck, we have nobody. Malcolm, you now have a 4th job.
Yeah,
Right?
I guess that was about trying to show like because all the neighbors, basically everybody ends up in that shot eventually, right?
Mhm.
Like the weird running dude, Malcolm, and then obviously the family that they're trying to save their house for, and yeah, it's almost like they're like, ah, fuck it, you're on set. Here, you want to hold this camera?
Yeah, but even they keep it going though at the end, like 1, 2, 3 spoilers. Once Otto actually passes, Malcolm still is the camera person for this person while she's doing the friend of a show kind of thing has passed.
Hey, maybe listen, maybe she hired him. Maybe he did just such a fantastic job on the first one that she was like, hey, you're better at this than me. So kind of right before the show started, I brought up the fact there's another Hanks in this film as well.
Yes, his youngest son is in this.
So
True.
it's a nepotism movie because he also Tom Hanks also produces. His wife's doing and his wife produces as well. Plus she's got the song. Plus he's got the son. So I mean, I guess you got to keep that money train rolling, right?
I don't know. Like I honestly thought like this was gonna be like one of your Sophia Coppola's, but I guess you just save it for her kind of thing, like fucking nepotism.
I actually missed the fact that because to be honest, I didn't even notice that kid actor, or I guess he's not a kid, but a younger actor playing Tom Hanks because this is gonna be awful. I actually thought that character was badly cast because I didn't feel he looked like Tom Hanks when he was younger. I think his other son looks much more like Tom Hanks.
Yeah, but Colin's a lot older too, right?
But just even like throughout his career, even like in Orange County and stuff like that, like he always looked like Hanks. And the fact that his actual son is playing him, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think they could have done a better job with the casting of this character. I also noticed that Tom Hanks and his son are looking more, his older son are looking more and more like as Tom Hanks gets older. Like it's almost like Tom Hanks is starting to look like Colin, not the other way around.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go like I think Tom Hanks actually cloned himself, and that is Colin.
Oh, maybe it's possible. I have to admit, I found this film very like sentimental, and at points I'm kind of like, I don't really care. But I got teary eyed multiple times, and I couldn't help it. Like the date when he spoiler, I mean it's not a real spoiler. You can still watch the scene. But when she's like, why didn't you have an entree? And he's like, because I wanted you to have whatever you wanted to eat because he doesn't have a job. I was like, oh, here we go. And like definitely the time, like some of the flashbacks with his wife and stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely got misty eyed. It's definitely a misty eyed making movie. Did it have that effect on you at all, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the dramedy and like the comedy and the drama balanced really well, right? Because when the drama hits, it hits hard that you do get the misty eye, but they were able to bring you up with some of the comedy stuff. I think the neighbor Tommy was fucking awesome. Even the other guy, the other neighbor, that like I don't know what kind of fucking workout walk that was, but every time I saw it I laughed.
So it's a 126. It's just over 2 hours of running time. What did you think it was appropriately paced or length or what?
Yeah, it did well. The one thing I was surprised, not surprised, but I think it could have been, probably was a choice as well. So that way it didn't get too many comparisons with Up in terms of story wise, was you never really see them, like the Otto and his wife, once they're older, right? Like
Mm.
it's always her younger. It's always once they started out, or just up until the accident, but never anything past that.
Yeah, it's almost like I really loved my wife when she was hot and young.
Yeah, that. But I was also thinking too, like if it was deliberate, because I like you know that he has medical problems, right? Like they have what your Chekhov's gun right at the beginning, because they tell you he can't go into the army because of his medical condition.
Mm.
Um, and
Look at you using the theater terms. I love it. I love it.
yeah, but they they're pretty smart about it, in which, any times when he was older and you're watching it and he was having those kind of attacks, like it wasn't jarring kind of thing,
Mm.
right? Like it was, you could see that the attacks were happening, and gradually they were getting like worse and worse.
Worse. Yeah, yeah.
But I also started thinking like maybe he has Alzheimer's or dementia, where he can only go back really that far, and that's why he keeps on
Oh.
reliving it.
Hey man,
Right.
that's possible.
And
Or
that
they
could be why he didn't remember Malcolm. He's like 6 months. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, hey man, that's possible. Yeah, that is a good point. Like you figure that if you are super in love with someone to the point that you want to commit suicide when they die, your memories would not only be of like this kind of very minimal window of time in your life.
Yeah, you're looking at like first decade, if that, right?
Mm. It was kind of, I did at the beginning feel like, oh, you're going to be one of those weird stalkers where you're like, as soon as he found out she took the train like every week, it was like, oh, well, now I'm going to be on the fucking train all the time. I'm always like, I guess it can be romantic. Also fucking creepy. Like, oh, hey, dude, I
No,
know
one
you don't
hundred
go, I know
percent,
you you do not go anywhere on this train. So
100%. Like if this was now and this happened, he would have been pepper sprayed.
yep, I was thinking the same thing. Yep. Shh, ah,
Be
bear
like
mace.
you dropped your book, and then you find out you're not even on this thing. Like, where the fuck? Like, kick him out.
So, okay, and I know you're going to get mad because of where this quote is from. So, Kate Walsh from the Tribune News Service. Yeah, it's not Variety or anything like that, but I think her quote kind of suits how I feel about this film. The cumulative effect of the story's twists and turns is powerful, if sometimes predictable. So, yeah, I mean, you kind of know where the film's going to end up, very, very early on. But yeah, like finding out about his wife, that was kind of shitty. Like, not shit, like it was shitty. Like it was, I was like, oh man, like that was an awful tragedy. Like why they don't have kids and all that type of stuff. And I think they did a good job of like revealing that information very slowly, so you don't have it all up front. I mean, it's kind of in the last third act of the film that you really get the full picture of what went down, right? So
yeah, but even still as well, like once you find out, and I was looking at the layout of that house, I'm like, where the fuck does she sleep?
oh, maybe he just carries her up to bed.
No way. No way. Not at his age, man.
No,
No way.
just throws her. She looked kind of little, so
You saw her a decade. I'm talking about now,
yeah.
like 6 months prior, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe, yeah, I don't know. She had cancer. Maybe she ended up having to stay in the hospital or something like that. But yeah, because there's a lot of stairs.
Yeah. And that's what I thought too. But yeah, like all in all, it is sentimental. Like, I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, I think
Probably.
it's a good Sunday afternoon kind of film. It's got a 97% from the audience. The critics gave it 69%, so it's not awful, but the audience really liked it. And I mean, it did 113 million in the box office against a $50 million budget, which I'm actually shocked that it did that much money in.
No, I think
in
it was
theater.
one of those. Yeah, I think it was one of those like late word of mouth movies that people started going to, because it was like, it was never like the number one or even number two, but I think it just kept on going because a lot of people, like, week after week it had a slight increase, so it was one of those word of mouth. So I think even it was starting to garner some Oscar buzz last year too, because of its late push. But you can't have too many years of Hanks in there.
I mean, you could have had Spielberg and Hanks back to back again.
But it was interesting. Director Mark Foster, World War Z, man. He directed World War Z
and The Kite Runner, like, and Monsters Ball. Like, and it's weird. He's been nominated for a BAFTA, and I think he won an Indie Spirit Award as well. But he's sort of like the director that you're like, all those films are like kind of good. And I actually was shocked that he didn't have an Academy Award.
Mm-hmm. I was too.
Have you seen Christopher Robin?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Finding Neverland is another one that I think that made me bawl like a bitch, I believe, at the time. So
bawl like a bitch. There we go.
I'm really looking forward to Tom Hanks in Wes Anderson's new film, Asteroid City, though. I think he basically is playing the character that was supposed to go to Bill Murray, but Bill Murray got COVID, so he couldn't shoot it. So
is that what happened?
That's what I heard.
I heard different, but okay.
Wow, there's the other possibility.
But okay.
I think the story the studio is going with is COVID. So if you didn't have Tom Hanks, do you think Clint Eastwood could have done this role? Or is he too surly? Like,
no, because wouldn't this be like a watered down version of Gran Torino?
Yeah, with less killing. Yeah.
Right. But if you didn't have, who would you put in? So you want a grizzled actor, late years.
What about Viggo Mortensen?
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh yeah. He's really fucking old though. I don't know. Is he even doing any acting anymore?
Yeah, he's doing acting. I would. Yeah, he was in Nobody. Nobody.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I think
yeah, that could have worked too. He's definitely grizzled.
No. Or even who else? Fucking Danny Glover would have been good too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, and that would have put like, a more of a POC spin on it. You know what I mean?
And then he would have been like, I'm getting too old for this shit, when he's like the guy keep on driving through.
Yeah. And then he would have lethal weaponed him.
No, that's what you could have done. It could have been a Lethal Weapon reunion, man. Like the neighbor could have been the neighbor that was like, oh, what disease did he have?
Alzheimer's or
no, because he couldn't move.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what disease it was, but he could have been Mel Gibson, so he didn't have to say a word.
Yes, because that gets him in trouble.
And then Danny Glover could have been Otto.
And then we bring in Danny DeVito as the guy that works for the real estate company or something. Oh no, it's not Danny DeVito. It's
Joe Pesci, man.
Joe
Fuck.
Pesci. Jesus Christ.
Like Danny DeVito.
Our producer says also Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford also would have been a good choice.
Harrison Ford's still like, he's still getting like he's in everything still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Indiana Jones.
He was in what was that, Call of the Wild?
Yes. Did not do very well though. I was shocked that this was filmed in Pittsburgh because I definitely want to watch the original Swedish film, because wherever they shot in Pittsburgh gave me the vibe of like a seaside Nordic town. Like I thought that they were like on the West Coast in Portland or something like that, or maybe in Maine. So I mean, Pennsylvania is on the East Coast, but it had a very interesting Nordic kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I think watching the original as well to see, how, because there is going to be the changes. Like this 100% would have been Americanized, right? Like I don't see the social media thing really happening in the original.
Or the Chevy.
Oh yeah, or all the fucking
massive,
American.
That fucking truck is massive.
Yeah. Well, they also had Fords too, right?
They did, because I think that was their whole thing. Like he was a a Chevy guy, and then his buddy was a Ford guy, right?
Yeah. And then they're like, yeah, that's what. And then it was the Toyota that fucked up the relationship.
That's right.
When he got the Celica.
That's right.
But also the big corporation, big real estate, all that shit. And I really want to know what kind of like job this guy had, Tommy, that his wife didn't work because she was, watching 2 kids and pregnant. He falls off a roof, breaks his leg, but they're still fucking paying rent, man.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of job did you have?
Well, so they never show that. Isn't he looking at her? It looks like a university degree or something like that, but you never see what that document is, or I couldn't see what that document was on the wall when Otto's character is like babysitting or whatever, and it looks like he's looking at her university degree or something.
I don't know. Oh, well, like Tommy said he was IT consultant.
That's right. So he probably works from home.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that's the thing. It's just like, could you imagine having that neighbor that all of a sudden, 6 months prior, you're written into the will. You've only
get a
known
fucking
him
free house because
and
your
car.
wife gave him some cookies. Yeah, and a car and money
and bank
and money to
account.
pay for your kids to go to college.
And
I'm hoping
Malcolm's
my
like,
fucking
I
neighbors
fucking
have done that,
fixed
man.
that house, and I did those. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Malcolm just got written off at the end. He got a fucking 20-year-old car, and then like just go.
And everybody else got like mad loot.
Yeah.
I think in my situation, the problem is my neighbors have known me for more than 6 months, and that's why I'm not in their will. Do you got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I think that's it for me on this film. And that is our wrap for the day. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. If you want to get a hold of us, reach us at the www.howdyoulikethatmovie.com.
Like, he is definitely committed to committing suicide. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so much so, I don't think at any point he ever turned on his gas, electricity, or phone.
Well, he would have had to
In
at
that-
the end because he definitely lives to see another winter, right? So
Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm like watching it, and I'm like, because every time anybody came in, they're like, it's super cold in here, right? And he's like, just get out. And I'm like, he still hasn't fucking called them back.
Production by Rod Shaver, Vader Monkey Productions.